doesn't go on and we don't have ongoing discussions, you know, it's almost like a face-to-face class, but it's online. A Moodle, yes, Mark, Moodle was developed by a person who was doing his doctorate in Australia. That's true. Okay, so today's session for Cindy and others who want to know is about connecting emotions. We'll be discussing emotions, learning, and technology. And the question is, how are emotions, learning, and technology connected? Think about it. How are they connected? Okay, and another question is, what is this? How is posture? 1, 2, 3. By the way, which posture do you prefer? 1, 2, or 3? 3. Very good, Jess. Very good. That's right, 3. And how do you stand? 1, 2, or 3? Okay, that's another question. What is your posture? And the question is, very good, I'm glad. The question is when? Have you ever been 1 or 2? 2. Okay, so I'm sure you go through 1, 2, and 3 at some point. Of course, the best is 3 at all times. And I'll also mention that later on, how emotions influence the way we stand. Exactly, Namitha. Excellent, that's right. And Alexander, FM Alexander. How many of you heard of FM Alexander? Anyone here of the Alexander technique? FM Alexander wrote a book called The Use of the Self, and he talks about technology, but he talks about technology before 1900, to be specific, in 18 something or other. Okay, he wrote the book, and it was published in 1932. He wrote the book years later, and he talks about the technology of the body and how emotions caused him to lose his voice. Okay, you can lose teachers, those of you who teach and don't stand or sit properly can lose their voice. So there's a way of speaking and holding your body, and that's what Alexander is about. So if you're interested, you may want to look into that. So we're going to discuss these questions, and I hope that by the end of this session, or if not by the end of this session, you know, within the next couple of weeks, you'll be able to find answers to these questions. Yes, the name of the book, it's an old book, by the way, I don't know, you probably could get it in a library. It's by F.M. Alexander, who was also from Australia, and he developed the Alexander technique. The name of the book is The Use of the Self. But you can find out about the Alexander technique, and I highly recommend it. I live by the Alexander technique. It's excellent because it'll help you avoid accidents in the house and everywhere. It's a way of waking up to your consciousness. Alexander, the Alexander technique. Okay, technique. It's very popular in Europe, the UK. It's not so popular in the United States for some reason. They prefer Feldenkrais. How many of you have heard of Feldenkrais? Feldenkrais. No? Okay, Dietheld. Okay, you might, well, Feldenkrais stole his ideas from Alexander. Feldenkrais came afterwards. But he also developed his technique because he needed an operation. His body was falling apart. So people develop techniques based on their emotions and how their emotions cause them to break apart. So let's get back to our emotions today. How are emotions, learning, and technology connected? I hope you'll... good morning, Jamie. How are emotions connected to learning specifically? How can emotions and technology improve our lives? Okay, that's a good one, eh? Emotions and technology improve our lives. And are we just a bundle of emotions that are dictating what and how we do things? Very good, Mark. They can block, but they can also open up. Are we making decisions based on emotions that arise out of nowhere? In other words, where do emotions come from anyways? Okay, so emotions are a very big part of our lives. And one of the people that I'd like to introduce you to is Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. Unfortunately, she died. She's not alive, but her books are, and her ideas are. And she studied death. So you might think, Nellie, isn't that morbid? No. She studied death, and she was a psychiatrist, an MD and a psychiatrist, and she was actually with people. And her books have to do with her learning about people from their deathbed. People who were dying, taught her everything she knew. Okay, so she learned from young children who were dying, from people of all ages. As they were dying, she learned everything she knew, and she wrote it in a book. Lots of books. One of the my favorite books is Life Lessons. It's a great book, easy to read, and she wrote the book with David Kessler. Okay, so you might want to look her up on the internet. This image was taken from Wikipedia. She also wrote an excellent book, and its ideas were taken in conversation with God on grief and grieving. And if you think grief is only about dying, or losing someone, it's not. It's about losing anything, as well as our control. So better learning. Very good, Nilda. Totally agree with you. When do we have the time to read? Oh, very good, Len. I'm glad you're sharing how you feel. You know what? I don't read very much, but I found the books by Elizabeth, the way she writes is just, it's powerful. So, you buy the book, and either you read it or you don't, or you can get it in the library, and hopefully you'll find it interesting. If I find time to read, I think anyone can find time to read, because you know how busy I am, face-to-face and online. So Life Lessons, highly recommended. All right. Now, have you heard of Neale Donald Walsch? Neale, he wrote Conversation with God. I never bought the book because I didn't like the title. I didn't like the idea that someone, could write a book called Conversation with God. I think God it's a very private thing, and I just didn't feel right. Oh, you saw the movie? I had no idea there was a movie on this. Okay, workshop that who gave? I missed that. Okay, so Neale Donald Walsch took his ideas from Elizabeth, okay, from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And he came up with a very interesting way of looking at emotions. Now, if you could write down in the chat box, give me 5 emotions. I gave it away because if you look it up on the internet, you'll get it. 5 emotions. Exactly, Lynn. Emotions drive everything, good and bad, and that's why I want to read something to you. Anger. Okay, 5. We've got grief, anger, curiosity, bargaining. Okay, I see you looked up hope, happiness, sorrow, love, joy. All right. Well, apparently there are only 5 natural emotions. Depression, happiness, anger, denial, sorrow. Let's see. Jamie says fear, greed, anger, pleasure. fear, happiness, anger, love, anger. You know, I read this with my students in English classes, and they find it, I'm talking about English as a foreign language, they find it fascinating. I can't seem to find it. Oh, here it is. Okay. Let me share the link with you, so maybe you can open it up. I'm not sure whether I can screen share today. I didn't have a screen sharing feature yesterday, but let me try it anyways. I'd like to read this to you. So cross your fingers. Maybe I'll be able to screen share. I think I am. All right. So my lucky day. All right. In a second. There we go. All right, so I'm going to screen share. Now, after the screen sharing, you may find that everything is kind of on the left bottom hand side of the screen. I suggest you just, there's an arrow, just click on the arrow and everything will pop right back to the right. Okay, so is everybody ready? Taxonomy of emotions in teaching. Good, good. That's excellent. Okay, so I'm going to read this to you about the 5 natural emotions. Okay, this was taken from Computer Science Engineering, the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at the University of Notre Dame. Imagine, these are engineer students. The 5 natural emotions. Grief is a natural emotion. That's number 1. It's that part of you which allows you to say goodbye when you don't want to say goodbye, to express, push out the sadness within you at the experience of any kind of loss. It could be the loss of a loved one, or the loss of a contact lens, or anything else that you lose. When you're allowed to express your grief, you get rid of it. Children who are allowed to be sad, when they are sad, feel very healthy about sadness when they are adults, and therefore usually move through sadness very quickly. Children who are told, there, don't cry, have a hard time crying as adults. After all, they've been told all their life not to do that. So they repress their grief. Grief that is continually repressed becomes chronic depression, a very unnatural emotion. People have killed because of chronic depression. Wars have started. Nations have fallen. Number 2, anger is a natural emotion. It is the tool you have which allows you to say no, thank you. It does not have to be abusive, and it never has to be damaging to another. When children are allowed to express their anger, they bring a very healthy attitude about it to their adult years, and therefore usually move through their anger very quickly. Children who are made to feel that their anger is not okay, that it is wrong to express it, and in fact, that they shouldn't even experience it, will have a difficult time appropriately dealing with their anger as adults. Anger that is continually repressed becomes rage, a very unnatural emotion. People have killed because of rage. Wars have started. Nations have fallen. Number 3, envy is a natural emotion. It is the emotion that makes a 5-year-old wish he could reach the doorknob the way his sister can, or ride that bike. Envy is the natural emotion that makes you want to do it again, try harder, to continue striving until you succeed. It is very healthy to be envious, very natural. When children are allowed to express their envy, they bring a very healthy attitude about it to their adult years, and therefore usually move through their envy very quickly. Children who are made to feel that envy is not okay, that it is wrong to express it, and in fact, that they shouldn't even experience it, will have a difficult time appropriately dealing with their envy as adults. Envy that is continually repressed becomes jealousy, a very unnatural emotion. People have killed because of jealousy. Wars have started. Nations have fallen. Number 4, fear is a natural emotion. All babies are born with only 2 fears, the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. All other fears are learnt responses brought to the child by its environment, taught to the child by its parents. The purpose of natural fear is to build in a bit of caution. Caution is the tool that helps keep the body alive. It is an outgrowth of love, love of self. Children who are made to feel that fear is not okay, that it is wrong to express it, and in fact that they shouldn't even experience it, will have a difficult time appropriately dealing with their fear as adults. Fear that is continually repressed becomes panic, a very unnatural emotion. People have killed because of panic. Wars have started. Nations have fallen. And the last one, number 5, love. Love is a natural emotion when it is allowed to be expressed and received by a child normally and naturally without limitation and no condition, inhibition, or embarrassment. It does not require anything more, for the joy of love expressed and received in this way is sufficient unto itself. Yet love which has been conditioned, limited, warped by rules and regulations, rituals and restrictions, controlled, manipulated, and withheld becomes unnatural. Children who are made to feel that their natural love is not okay, that it is wrong to express it, and in fact, they shouldn't even experience it, will have a difficult time appropriately dealing with love as adults. Love that is continually repressed becomes possessiveness, a very unnatural emotion. People have been killed because of possessiveness. Wars have started. Nations have fallen. And so it is that the natural emotions, when repressed, produced unnatural reactions and responses. And most natural emotions are repressed in most people. Yet these are your friends. These are your gifts. These are your divine tools with which to craft your experience. You are given these tools at birth. They are to help you and negotiate your life. All right, so I hope you were able to hear and view the words. This is what I do with my classes, my high school classes, and anyone who wants to listen. So yes, emotions are gifts that we receive at birth. Okay, this is what we receive. And here is the link to the words that were put there by the University of Notre Dame and the Department of Computer Science for Engineers. So I think that's how technology connected the emotions. And it was written by, well, originally by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross came up with the idea in her books on grief. You're still with the book collection. You can also view this on YouTube. Okay, if you look up 5 natural emotions are your divine tools given you at birth. There's a great video, not by Neale Donald Walsch, but by someone else who shared his voice with the words. So you're invited to do that. Any questions so far? So what are emotions? What are emotions? Okay, there are 5 natural emotions that we are born with that we should encourage our children, because with us it might be too late, but we can encourage young people, children, to express them. Okay, they're natural. So what are the 5 natural emotions? Let's see how much you remember. You can also cheat and look it up. That's fine. So what are the 5 natural emotions? You found the YouTube? Very good. Thank you, Mark. You might want to listen to it later on. So according to the 5 natural emotions, let's see which ones you remembered. Interesting, you remembered envy. You know, they say that we remember what we hear first best, but it seems to me that many of us remember what we heard last. Very good, thank you, Penny. Love was the last one. Okay, you got them all. Okay, so 5 natural, and then think of the unnatural that come as a result of repression. Grief, envy, fear, love, anger. Thank you, Ken. Yes, fear and love are connected. They're all interconnected. Was hate mentioned? Was hate mentioned? Possession. Right, the unnatural emotion that comes as a result of repressed love is possession. And think of all the killings. Okay, men who kill their wives and wives who kill their husbands and so on. And you know, all the abuse that people go through because of not knowing how to express emotion. Jealousy, that's right. Thank you. Okay, so this is something that we can discuss, that you might want to discuss. You might want to add this to your blog. Len, you might want to open a discussion on the Facebook group that you created. Okay, I think the more you add, the better you'll remember and it'll become more meaningful. I suggest you try it in your classes. So again, the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at the University of Notre Dame added that, which I think is really great. All right, emotions and learning. All right, it's no secret, I don't think. I studied at the University of Phoenix, and I studied online. It was blended. It took me 4 years, and I had to, you know, go to the United States. I'm Canadian, but I had to go to the United States and take courses there as well. When I finally finished, I gave a presentation in Boston for the International Leadership Association, and that's where I met the vice president and one of my committee members, okay, Dr. Hank Rada. And as you can see, and someone that I hadn't known, but only online, this is myself. It was a very emotional. We just wanted to hug each other, and I think that's where emotions come in. And someone mentioned that they could be negative, but we can make these emotions positive by, you know, by sharing and caring and reaching out. You know, it's never linked to the Notre Dame. Yes, of course. It's never, you know, it's never wrong to show your emotions. Never. You know, even if you don't know someone and you think, well, you know, that's my mentor, that's the vice president of the university. No, just open your arms, and everyone will be happy to to bond, okay, to hug you back. So I don't know. I think formality is really not necessary unless you're going to meet the Queen of England or, some diplomat. But, your teachers, and just hug them. I think you'll find that it's a very good thing for everyone. All right, so I've been teaching English as a foreign language and second language in high school and higher education for many, many years, over 30 years. And emotions in school are very high. How many of you, even the Queen can hug? That's right, David. But I don't know if she wants a hug from me, but she might. Who knows? Maybe she's bonding deprived. Maybe she doesn't get enough hugs a day. So she would appreciate a hug from someone that she doesn't know. Good point. All right, so how many of you teach? If you could just add in the chat box, give me a thumbs up. Do you teach? I will. When I meet the Queen, I'll hug her, David. Definitely. Okay, so we've got lots of teachers. That's great. All right, good. How many of you teach in school? Thumbs up. If you don't, thumbs down. Do you teach in a school? Now, when I say school, I mean something, like a face-to-face or online, something heavy like a school. I call it heavy because I think that it's time we got rid of schools. I'm against schools. That's why I've been teaching in school for so many years, so I can break it from the inside. I've been against the system since grade 11. So all right. Okay. So there are a lot of emotions in school. You'll agree with me. Emotions are high in high school. Okay. Teachers are pressured. How many of you are pressured by your administration? Teachers are pressured by the administration, the principals, who are pressured by the Ministry of Education, who are pressured by the government, who are pressured to get results. Everybody wants the kids to have results. What are these results? I have no idea. It's not that they want them to be great scientists, but they want them to have grades. That's right. Grades. It's like, what's the point? Teachers who are pressured put pressure on students who are pressured by parents who want their children to be able to survive financially after they leave school. So everyone's pressured. Lots of emotions that spread everywhere. Making school hell. Sorry for that word. I just watched a horrible movie yesterday on the devil taking over with Natalie Portman. It was a crazy movie. So, yes, that's why I think schools need to either change or everybody should just walk out. I tell my students to leave school. I even told my own children to leave school, but they didn't. Nobody listens to me. Okay? Easier said than done. Yes, well, So school is a bundle of pressure. And that's why it's really important to get our students intelligent. We need to teach emotions, but we need to, first of all, know about them. So have you heard of emotional intelligence? We have an intelligence called emotions. In other words, we can learn and become skilled at, using emotions for good stuff, for learning. Do you agree, English? Do you teach English with emotions? That's an interesting question. That's an interesting question. I try to be me, and I try to teach with love. If you talk about emotions, I teach with love. I try to pass on, I'm not allowed to hug my students in class, but I'm allowed to do it outside the classroom. So I try to kind of, show love, when I speak to them, when I look at them, and they feel it. You know, you don't have to say that you love someone or that you care about someone or that you like someone. You can just kind of, you know, transfer it, you know, from your heart to their heart. So, yeah, in some countries you're not allowed to, yes, supportive words, but you know what it's even looking at, kids? It's how you speak. If you speak with anger, you're not going to show much love. Okay, but if you, you know, if you smile and you make them feel good about themselves, then there are lots of ways of showing love. Oh, they interpret you, don't worry. Even when I was younger, you know, they always interpreted the caring. It's not, you know, it's not sexual love. It's caring. You know, it's unconditional love that has to do, you know, with caring. All right, Daniel Goleman, and okay, Daniel Goleman is a psychologist. He's got an excellent website that I think you might find interesting. Even Daniel Goleman has an online presence, and I found this interesting. I met Daniel at an international conference in 2011, I think, 2011 or 10, and he bored me to death, by the way. I couldn't stay to the end. I was so bored. But he developed, you know, this idea. He brought it out. He didn't do any research on it, but and he's the father of this, you know, emotional intelligence idea. But I don't think it's anything new. It's something that you might want to look at. There's also an excellent video that, oh, I think, yeah, that's the one. You need to have Flash for it, though. It's an excellent video by Daniel, and his website is full of ideas. He also talks about technology, and I think you'll find his talk about technology either upsetting or, excuse me, or you might find it sorry about that, my family just came in. You may find it upsetting, or you might find it joyful. Okay, Daniel Goleman, yes. He wrote about technology and how he feels about technology. Anyways, emotional intelligence is a term that he coined. It's used in education and in the business world, and Daniel Goleman is in both. Okay, he's interested in making money like the rest of us, and that's why he has an online presence. Hello, Teresa. And we do need to learn about our emotions and how to accept them for what they are, something that we cannot control. How many of you think you can control your emotions? Remember the 5 natural emotions or the unnatural emotions. Okay? No, thank you, Jess. You can't. We can't. You know, it's like our thoughts. Can you control your thoughts? Can you control, you know, what thoughts come in randomly? Can you control your heart, your heartbeat? Can you control your pulse? Yes, maybe your pulse, but not your heartbeat. Okay, so emotions, just like thinking and our heartbeat and the way the blood, you know, circulates in our body is out of our control. You know, we basically have to accept it and not make decisions based on our emotions. Okay, we don't have to make decisions, but they're there. So it's important for us to learn about our emotions. And I think what's important is respect. Respect other people for being just like us, human beings with emotions. We're all the same. You know, it's not that one person, you know, thinks about different things that I do. We all have the same thing. You know, we're the same. So, you know, if I make a mistake, it's not a big deal because everybody makes mistakes. If I feel anger, or if I feel love, or if I feel jealousy or envy, or, unnatural and natural emotions, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not something that we should be embarrassed. We should accept and, just look at them and think, well, where did it come from? Where do emotions come from? Daniel Goleman, and you'll be able to get this PowerPoint presentation, and the links are active on the PowerPoint presentation. It's in the course. Yes, of course, Jamie. We have to teach how to express them. Exactly, when children are young, though. Don't forget, it's very hard to start, after parents have repressed our children's, I'm talking about school children's emotions, it's very hard to say it's okay. It's okay to be angry in class. It's okay if someone has a tantrum, even if they're 12 or 16 or 17, let them feel. Because the minute we repress it, it's going to get out of hand. Which reminds me of the gun shooting in Toronto last night, at a mall, food court. I don't know if you've heard about it, but gunmen shot 7. One is dead, and the others are seriously injured. All 7 are seriously injured. It's a nightmare, and perhaps, well, presumably, he wasn't able to look at his emotions, and he made a decision based on his emotions, probably anger. I find high school grads entering college find it difficult to speak out. That's right, because it's your previous learning, which was not to express emotion, natural emotion. Okay, forget about the others. Yes, Svetlana. So you guys are interacting in the chat. Feel free to answer, respond to each other. At the end of the session, which is in about 10 minutes, you'll be able to, a little more, 16 minutes, you'll be able to copy the chat and take everything with you and relate to it, through a blog or, with yourself, reflect on the information and how you feel about it. Because, as I said at the beginning, this is about you and how you feel. It's not what I have to say. Okay, I'm just kind of speaking in the background, but it's you that is doing the learning. You're the active one. Jamie, you want the mic? Well, I'll give you the mic at the end if that's okay, to get them to open up. Well, there are ways of doing it, but this is something that you might want to discuss with others. Maybe others have a way of doing it. I've been practicing for, well, over 30 years to get my students to open up. Maybe it's easier in a language class. I don't know, because it is a communication. Bullying, yes, uncontrolled, exactly. All these things are unnatural. Maybe talking about natural emotions would help. Okay, for those who came late, natural emotions. Okay, so the question is it possible, according to Daniel Goleman, is it possible to boost students' emotional intelligence through teaching them skills in social and emotional learning? If so, how are schools today doing it? This is one of the questions that you can find in the Daniel Goleman. Let me just find it. On the same website that I showed you before. Okay, it's called Think Big. And Daniel Goleman has lots of interesting articles, fascinating, in fact. And since he's the expert, I think it's worthwhile going to his website. Okay, so here's the link to the website to find out how you can do it. Okay, you might get ideas, try them out, and blog about it. Share with others whether they worked or not. Talking about, family as well, practicing. I think the first place that I started practicing emotions was with my children and my husband. In other words, the five natural emotions. Okay, so do you dare to show your anger at home? Do you show your children love, unconditional love, without, do you tell your children, if you bring good grades, if you do well in school, and show them that you will love them on condition that. Okay, so I think that practicing natural emotions at home is the first step in our homes. Whether you have children or whether you're living with your parents or, someone else, I wouldn't start doing this at work. I don't know whether it would be appreciated. Okay, Jamie, let me find you. Can you raise your... Oh, you raised your hand. Let me see if I can do it through the raised hand and give you... Let's see if it's going to work today. It didn't work yesterday. If I can just... No, it didn't. Jamie, did you get the mic? If not, I'll try to find you. Jamie, you raised your hand. I'm trying to see where you are. I can't see you. Jamie, is Jamie still here? I'm trying to pass on the mic to you, but oops. Can you raise your hand again, Jamie? I see someone else has raised their hand. Oh, there, I saw you. Okay, let's see if I can do that. Okay, I'm going to give the mic to someone else, and then to you, you'll be the only person. Okay, it's not going through Gualero, so... Jamie, is your hand still up? Sorry, it's not... I can't really find you. But if I do, I'll pass on the mic as soon as I do. Right now, I can't. There are too many people in the classroom. All right, so we're going to continue. Sorry about that. Hello, Indiana. Who is Indiana? That's a... Okay, so again, the next question that I think Daniel Goleman also tries to respond to is, how is technology connected to emotions? If you can add that in the chat box, how is technology connected to emotions? Any thoughts on that? Separate, it's not connected. Okay, Mark. Social networks, emotions to be expressed. Okay, sometimes technology. How many of you have read the page for this class? I provided lots of information on the landing page for the live class. Okay, technology. All right, there's an excellent video. I'm going to share the video with you. A woman by the name of Rana El Kaloubi from Egypt developed an incredible program, a technology program in the UK for her PhD. After she finished her PhD, she was invited by Harvard to do research on her program, and it's called A Way to Measure Emotions. And the reason she developed it was because she said she wanted the world to have a better life. She wanted everyone to have a better life. And she felt that she wanted to do something for the world. Um, Again, if you Google Rana El Kaloubi on Google, she gave a TED Talk. Incredible woman. I just fell in love with her. She just amazing, an amazing woman. I believe she was pregnant while she was doing the research. And she went back and forth because her husband lives in Egypt. She went back and forth from Harvard, from Massachusetts to Egypt. I think every month, just went amazing, an amazing woman. And she developed what's called technologies to measure emotions. And I'd like to share that with you. Okay, here's the YouTube video. Let me know once you hear it. It's called Affectiva. That's the name. That's right, Rana El Kaloubi.
I'm going to show you two technologies that have been developed by my team and I to measure emotional response. I heard that mentioned a whole lot. In fact, when that dog's teeth bared during the warrior cats, I felt my emotional response go up. And if that were full screen in front of me, you know, the size of the screen affects the size of the emotions too. So there are a lot of things we know that you guys do in telling stories that are very important in terms of how they change and affect our emotions. There's a very oversimplified way to look at the space of emotions, and it consists of these two dimensions. The vertical one is the excitement dimension, and the horizontal one is is it a positive experience or a negative experience? I'm going to show a technology aligned with the vertical one first, and then one that gives you some stuff on the horizontal axis and a lot more information as well. The vertical dimension has been classically measured by a signal known for over 100 years, known as electrodermal activity, sometimes called galvanic skin response, usually measured from the fingers with gel electrodes, kind of gooey, attached to wires, and in the latest, smallest form factors attached to a box, and measured, say, while people play a game like Warrior Cats or something exciting on screen, or while they're creating a Scratch project. And what we see is that people tend to get much more excited when they're engaged in interactive content than when they're just passively consuming content. For example, we've measured whole audiences during days like today, and we'll see that when you're engaged in a live demonstration, the level goes up. When there's laughter, the level goes up. And reliably, when there's PowerPoint presentations, there's a decaying exponential in the brightness. What our team has done is to take this signal and put it into a new form that allows us to learn about it in daily life, as opposed to when you're tethered to a bunch of wires, electrodes, a box, and a computer. So now we have a form that you can wear on the wrist, you can wear on the leg. I've worn it all day to theme parks and movies with my sons and seen how we respond the same or differentially to things in the movie. This signal has been looked at, for example, in sports events on TV. So this was paying a MIT Super Bowl, actually a football fan we found to watch the Super Bowl several years ago. And you can see him being kind of excited here. He's peaking during the Patriots touchdown, during the Patriots first down, during this Doritos Mouse TV commercial, and also during an end zone overthrow. Meanwhile, the same experience for several of the women in the room who were not football fans was peaking at all the TV commercials and peaking when the men were yelling at a bad call that a guy made. So you can go back and use this affect as an index to look at experiences. And what's interesting now is to think about when you can measure this comfortably in daily life, what can you learn about yourself? What can you learn about real life stories? How would you index your day differently? How would you go back through the video and think about what the highlights were? I was surprised when I wore this to take my son to Six Flags Park all day with his friends, and I thought my biggest peaks would be on the biggest roller coasters, and sure enough, the biggest accelerometer was the biggest drop on Bizarro, and these other roller coasters were big peaks of the day. But surprising to me, my biggest peak was actually in the morning when I was worried one of his best friend wasn't going to be able to show because he was sick and trying to get everybody out the door. So,
okay, I'm refreshing the page. Apparently, there's a slight delay. Hopefully, it'll continue from where it took off. Let's see what happens. Okay, I believe there was a slight delay, so I stopped the video. It's excellent. Take a look at it. It's based on the work that the Egyptian PhD student, well, actually, she's doing post, and she's got a business, which I think is so encouraging. She started out with a doctoral program, and then she went on to continue her studies in a postdoctorate, and now she's got a business called Effectiva. Okay, this is the business. I don't know whether I can share it. I'm afraid of screen sharing in case it doesn't work. But here is the website for Effectiva. And it's so nice to see how, through education, you can actually, and technology, you can combine learning, technology, and even make money, make a living. So, okay, I don't know whether it's gonna, oh, yes, it will work. It seems to me that, oh, yes, it's going to work. Wow. Okay, so I think, just let me know if you can see the screen. Okay, let me give my, whom can I give it to? Let's see if it's gonna work or not. I'm going to go screen share. Just tell me if you can see this. Just say, yes, I can see the screen. Okay, and then I'll go back to class just so I can get the information from you. Were you able to see that? Effectiva? Nope. All right, so no. Oh, yes. Elizabeth? No. Okay, so if most of you say no, so let me see if I can do something about... let's see what happens if I can get it to work, because it's sitting on, okay, sorry for trying something out here. Let's see if it can work. If not, here's the link to the website. It costs money. So maybe your school or, maybe the organization that you work for would be interested in that. But I find it fascinating that you can learn about your emotions through technology. Okay, I think that's... okay, let me go back to the slides. I had to refresh the page. There we go. Yes, of course, Jesse. I will. Okay, so here's what it looks like. Let's see if I can do that. No, I guess not. Okay. All right. Forget it. I'm not going to even try with the screen sharing. Okay, so that's the website. Okay, here's the link again. And it was developed by Rana. Now, a quiz. Okay, this is for you. Let me just extend the time so we don't get timed out. Okay. Okay. All right. This is the quiz of the day before I talk about the Moodle. All right, here it is. Do you know who these two people are? Okay, who are these two people? If you guess, you'll get a free Moodle for Teachers Beginners Workshop. How many of you are interested in Moodle for Teacher? DFL, can you add the link? Please, Moodle for Teachers, a 4-week workshop that's starting now. How many of you are interested? Me. Okay, Beginners Workshop for free. Okay, so guess. Let's see who guesses first. All right, who are these two people? No, I meant to the course, DFL, if to the actual Moodle for Teacher course. If you can grab that. Okay, thank you, Judy. Right, 393. Psychologists, no. Freud, no. Bill and Bob. No, it's not Bill and Bob. Actors. Well, that's pretty close. One of them was an orator. Okay, I'll give you a hint. Okay, I'll give you a hint. Oh, I misspelled that. Sorry, orator. The one on the right is Alexander, FM Alexander. Okay, FM Alexander. That's the man on the right. Okay, so that's Alexander. And who's the one that he is doing the Alexander technique? Remember the Alexander technique that I mentioned at the beginning? Well, who is this man with a mustache? Very famous. And if you're educators, you should know. So who is the famous educator that I love? I don't know if you like him or not. Horace. Horace Mann was very good, yes. Well, he is an American. That's true. Not long ago at another webinar in Ukraine, Practical Exercise Increasing Emotions while English Language. Woo, Miss Yellow, thank you for that. Dewey, we got it. We have a winner. Safe Space Learning. That's right. Okay, this is John Dewey, one of my favorite educators. Excellent. Okay, so that was safe. You have a free Moodle for teachers. For the rest of you, join the Moodle and find out what it's all about. Okay, Jesse? The workshops cost $10 for 1 month. Okay, so you learn how to Moodle for $10. The certificates, there it is. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm glad we have a winner. So safe. What is your name? You'll have to join the Moodle and email me. Okay, so email me safe. What was it? Safe School? Nellie Deutsch. That's I have a few emails, but that's the shortest one. Nellie Deutsch at Gmail. Okay, Nellie Deutsch. The URL, yes. Judy, can you add the URL again? Speaking about joining courses, I want to know what the agreement is before I accept it. Oh, the agreement. The agreement is that you will be kind to everyone. The agreement, we have an agreement set on the Moodle, and the agreement is that everyone respect one another and speak nicely. That's the agreement. Okay. So I think that shouldn't be a problem. Jesse will, yes, it'll be for K-12, K to 20, okay, K-20 for everyone, okay, anyone who wants to use Moodle. We also support anyone who wants to get their own Moodle later on after they finish the course. So thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend, the rest of the weekend. The rest of the weekend, it's just the beginning of the week, isn't it? Have a great week and Sunday, and see you in the course. There's also a course called Connecting Emotions, Learning, and Technology. And if you're interested in the course, you're welcome to join. Here is the link for the course. And copy the chat box now before I close the class. Okay, copy the chat box. There's the course, so you can learn more about connecting emotions, learning, and technology. Okay, so copy the chat. Do you all see it? It says copy chat, copy it, and then you can take it with you. And paste it. So thank you, everyone. Bye for now. See you next time. And blog. Okay, become an active learner. Okay, write. Do something with the information.